Hi there, Nancy Muller here. Welcome to another conversation on Life is All About Choices. These are conversations that we have meant to empower, inspire, and motivate you, the audience. Today, my guest is Andrew, and I'm really excited to share him with you. I know I say that about everybody, but I just keep meeting awesome people, so what can I say? Andrew, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, very, very honored to be here, Nancy. Thank you so much for inviting me to the show.
Yes. I'm really excited to have you here. And before we go any farther, can you tell everyone who you are, what you do, and why you're so fabulous?
Yeah, so it's always a very interesting question, Nancy, and I love this question because I usually try to give somebody something that they're not really going to expect, right? So whenever people ask me, so Andrew, who are you? And it's within business, they want to know, okay, so who have you worked for? What is your expertise field? So on and so forth. But being a salesman myself, I like to start everything off on kind of a personal level. So I love to be able to tell anybody who's watching. So I'm Andrew. I'm 32 years of age. I live out here in sunny Southern California, and I really, I love my friends, I love my family, and I really enjoy my hobbies. So I like to rock climb, I like to fish, and I like to ski with my friends and my buddies. So that's just kind of me on a personal level. I love the challenges that they all have because there's a progression in each one of the sports, whether it's to catch a bigger fish, to rock climb a higher wall, or to ski a bigger mountain. And then I always try to dive that down into the business side as well. So business is a little bit different. Like in business, I'm a sales professional and I'm a sales expert. I've kind of stumbled upon into this career, Nancy. You know, when I was in school, like even when I was in grade school, I started out and I really loved my maths and my sciences. So calculus, science, never really had an issue. But when it came to English, writing, speaking, things of that nature, I just didn't really have any interest. And the funny thing is that I actually went to college and I graduated engineer. So I'm an engineering manager. It is as a degree, but I've been in sales for over the past decade, believe it or not. So I found myself in this career and it was interesting because I found myself really enjoying it and was lucky enough to be very successful at it as well.
Well, and one of the ways that we met when I was looking at your story, and you talked about being in a car accident and being unconscious for a while and how you kind of reevaluated your life from there. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I went on the traditional journey, if you will. So, say you go to grade school, you go to high school, college, you use your 9 to 5 job. And then I was on the path to going through that 9 to 5 job for the next, I don't know how long it would be, 40, 45 years maybe. And then just get my retirement. I actually had a pension with the company that I was at. So everything was bright and shining. It was almost like your perfect little world. But I hit kind of a turning point where I got into this car accident, and although it had nothing to do with my career, it really made me reevaluate my life. So what happened was I was on my way. I was driving to work. I remember specifically because this was my girlfriend at the time. It was her birthday, and I told her, hey, this is great because I'm going to get up early in the morning. I'm going to go drive to work, which was in Bakersfield. I'm going to make sure I can drive back so I can take you out to dinner. We can have a good time. And that way, at least we have the afternoon and the evening together. So I was off to work early in the morning. It was cold out. It was January the 10th. I remember the specific day. And there was black ice on the road. I didn't know. As you said, Nancy, I was unconscious for a number of days, and I actually can't remember about 5 to 7 days. My friends and family said that I was conscious, and I was screaming and yelling and all the rest of these things because they had me on all sorts of pain meds and whatnot. But the brain is fantastic because I can't remember a single thing. Like it must have been harder on my family and friends than it actually was for myself. But nonetheless, I went through that whole traumatic experience. So I've actually got a metal plate in my skull. I've got a metal rod all the way through my leg. The surgeon said, wow, you got hit in not the right spot, but if it were just a few inches lower, that would have been it. It would have been over. Loss of mobility. It was called like a paralysis. So I was very lucky and very fortunate. I actually went through a pretty quick recovery too. The recovery actually only took me a year. And although that may seem like a very long time, there are others that are maybe not so fortunate out there that go through a car incident and maybe aren't able to use their arms, or, maybe have like a TBI or traumatic brain injury. So I took that time I actually took that whole year as kind of like a reevaluation period, kind of wondering to myself, what exactly am I doing? What is my purpose here on planet Earth? Is it really just to live and to breathe, and to make multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars, and to have the wife and kids and the white picket fence and all the rest of those things? Or is maybe there's something a little bit better out there? What it exactly is that I want to do? So it was interesting. Like, I started pondering these things, and I was on this journey, Nancy. I was looking for my purpose. And I know everybody, I'm sure all your viewers out there, you've all had that feeling when you don't know what it is that you want, but you're looking for your purpose. And like how can I make a dent on this planet? Like, how can I leave my mark? And what do I want to be known for? Like, that's one of the biggest questions that we have out there. And I think whether you're a teenager, whether you're 20 years old, whether you're 70 years old, people still have that question.
Yeah.
I was, I could even say, like, I was fortunate enough to have this incident that made me ask myself that question, because I said to myself, okay, so, I've always been a top 5%er in sales. I didn't see myself as like a naturally born salesman, but for whatever reason, it just really worked for me. So I went through it and I said, how can I help people out the most? Because life is all about helping people. Mm-hmm. Now, what I choose, so one of the sayings that I live by, that I write down, it's not on the whiteboard that I have here in the office, but it's downstairs. I have the saying that is, if you ain't giving, you ain't living. So how can you give back to other people? I said, well, okay, so I've got this skill set. I've got this skill set of sales, and how can I teach others to do exactly what I do so that they are successful in whatever they're going to offer up to the world? If it's a product, if it's a service, if it's something that just helps out other people, how can I help them out? And that's actually how I found myself in this career right now, just wanting to help others with their sales message. It's not the pushy sales message. It's not the pinky ring and the diamond earrings and the gold chain, the suit and tie. It's not the AKA used car sales guy who wants to sell you something that you don't actually need. It's how do we create a win-win situation through communication and negotiation to ensure that your customer gets exactly what they want. Also, you get exactly what you want. And that's what really pushes the ball forward.
I love that you, first of all, on your website, you had 3 videos and they're really informative. But one of the things that really attracted me to you and your message is the fact that, you share from your heart. You're about creating relationships. It's not about making the sale. It's about creating the relationships. And that's what you teach. And I appreciate
Exactly
that.
right.
Mm-hmm.
There's and I have to put this out there. There's a very negative connotation towards sales. People feel like, also even business owners, they think that if I hire a sales guy, he or she should be doing anything in their arsenal, do anything possible to get that sale, because we just want to get the customer in the door. We want to take their money. We want to cycle them out, get the next one, so that I can reach $1 million, $10 million, $100 million, whatever it's got to be. But we often forget about the customer. Like, there's a relationship with customers in any single business. People that buy from you have money, and the only thing that has money is a person. You can't sell something to something that doesn't live and breathe. So we forget about the other person that's on the line, or the customer that's looking to receive the product. But if you have a relationship with that customer, it does a few things for you, yourself, and your business. First, you actually get to see somebody benefit from your service. Second of all, even though it may be a little bit of a slower route, so everybody's looking for the quick win, right? Everybody wants to cash in right away. But if you think about nurturing your customer and really serving them at the highest level, giving them exactly what they need, they'll tell their friends. They're going to come back to you in the future. Mm-hmm. And once you've sold a customer once, it's that much easier to sell them again and again and again and again. And they're going to just get more and more and more and more value from you. You're going to be able to create a relationship with them. And then you're actually going to be very fulfilled yourself. Because at the end of the day, life isn't about how much money that I have in my bank account. It should be about how happy your customers are and how happy you are. And so long as you have enough money to live your basic lifestyle, maybe you have an office or a computer, or you can take your spouse out on vacation or pay for your kids' college education, things like that. But who really needs $1 trillion or some insane number like that?
Mm-hmm.
that isn't really what's going to make you happy.
You know, what I just thought of as you were saying that too, it's that saying by Maya Angelou, where she said, people may forget what you say, but they'll never forget how you make them feel.
Exactly, exactly. So the sales pitch is all say, but the delivery is how you make them feel.
Exactly.
You get your customers saying, hey, wow, and you're like, I really appreciate you going above and beyond to help me out because I understood that I wasn't really fully understanding, but you took the time, like after your office hours to take me aside and to get with me on a one-on-one so that you can kind of explain it to me. And they say, oh, we really appreciate that. You'll be surprised because oftentimes your customers will come back and they'll say, so now that I've soaked up all this information, well, like, what do you have to offer that's next?
Mm-hmm.
And how about that for a sale? Like, you didn't even have to give them a pitch. They say, what can I buy from you next?
Right.
Like, what's the next step?
Yep.
Win-win.
Exactly. Andrew, when you and I were talking before, we had a conversation about something that's, I don't know, it just always comes up for me. And a lot of people, when they think sales, they think, smarmy, or somebody's going to force me into doing something. And basically that's it. It's anyone who feels or believes that they're being forced into something. Of course, that's about their beliefs. It's about they not believing that they have the power to just say no. But in talking about that, you and I discussed that in sales, there's a very popular saying that says, in sales, no doesn't mean no, it means not right now. So
Mm-hmm.
then I asked you, okay, so now when we are teaching our children, specifically daughters or women, you go out on a date and you tell a man no means no. What's the difference? If you're on a date, no doesn't mean not right now. It means no. And so I think we're sending mixed messages in sales and in our personal world. And I love how you brought that all together. Would you like to talk about that?
Definitely, definitely. It's a very interesting concept because this almost goes back to the basics of communication. So the English language is not exactly cut and dry. There's a couple words in the English language that mean two different things, and it depends on how you say them or what context, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what we have to think about is there's always two people. There's always two people that are going to be in a relationship. There's going to be whether it's the customer and it's the businessman and the customer, or maybe it's the husband and the wife, or it's the boyfriend and the girlfriend, or sometimes you think. We don't like to think about this, but the predator and the prey, per
Right.
se.
Right.
So there's always two people in that relationship, no matter whether it's positive, it's just like business related, or unfortunately sometimes it is negative. But the topic of no means no versus no means just not right now is taken in. Let's see. You have to think about it in the light of your customer and the other person, or the two people that are in the relationship. So, I like to tell whether it's my family, people that I have a relationship with, like a girlfriend, or even a friend. So things are often misinterpreted, and this is what it really comes down to: is a whole bunch of misinterpretation. And sometimes it's very direct, but as long as you have person A, let's just say it's the male and the female in this situation. So let's say you have the male and he's asking for something. It's his responsibility to understand how the female is going to perceive that message.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the male in this role has to think, okay, so the female is going to perceive this message in XYZ way because I'm directing it at her in a very soft tone, or maybe it's very aggressive. And I can know, like, let's just say it's Julia, and Julia down there, I know for a fact that Julia's had maybe a little bit of traumatic history. So she probably doesn't receive the message very well if I use a very forceful tone. But maybe if I use a little bit of a softer tone and I just ask her, it's like, okay, so, do you want to go out on a date? Do you think it would be okay if I take you out to dinner just to get to know each other? Rather than, Julia, I'm going to take you out on a date. We're going to get to know each other. You're going to have a really good time with me, and I'm that confident. Maybe he's a great guy. But maybe if he thinks about it in the light of, hey, I know that she's had this experience in the past and I don't want to use that tone, he's still trying to convey the same thing to her. Like he wants to take her out, maybe like the dinner and the drinks at the movie, or something harmless. But it's all about how you convey that message to the other party. Now, also, a lot of times we don't think about this, but it's the same thing vice versa. So it is also Julia, or you can say the customer's responsibility to think about it in the light of the other person who's pitching the product, or pitching to take her out on a date, and say, you know what, let's just say it's John over there in that instance. Maybe John's had some history with the girlfriends that he's had in the past, and he says, people just don't respond to me when I just talk in a very soft tone. So why would I do that? Like, every girl seems to dump me over 3 weeks, or nobody go out with me. And she knows that about John, and like he uses a very forceful manner, and maybe she really wants to go out with John. And then she can take that in the light of, okay, so I know that he's a nice guy. My friends have told him XYZ thing. Maybe I still have this history myself, but I know John a little bit, and I can tell that maybe he just wants to take me to dinner and a movie, and that's really all his intention. And he just wants to get to know a little bit more about my career, what my interests are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I can kind of understand that John he's using that tone of voice because he just hasn't had success with it in the past. So as long as the two people, even though they're on opposite sides, and they don't we don't have, I don't know, I don't believe in telepathy. You can't really figure out what the other person's thinking, but you can do your research and you can get a general gist and a feeling of exactly what they think. And so long as both sides play ball, that's what it's really all about. Now, we take that in the personal life and we take that into our professional career. You'll notice, Nancy, as well as probably everybody out there, that there aren't too many great sales guys or gals on the planet. There just aren't. There are a lot of great ones, but your average sales representative that you come across, let's just say if it's at the car dealership, you see somebody at the mall that's trying to sell you a mobile telephone, if it's a telemarketer that's calling you up during dinner time, they're usually reading off of, picking up some sort of script. They're just going to read it off because it's supposed to convert, it's supposed to work, but they're forgetting about the other person who's on the end of that line, or is it sitting across the table in the conference room. The true professional salespeople take a deeper dive and deeper look into their customer and say, okay, so how can I really format my message so that it works for the customer, so that they're going to perceive it in the correct manner? Because anybody who's right in business wants to give out their product and their service because they know it can make an impact. Like, they're not trying to sell you trash.
Right.
But as long as you think about the customer, or like the person that's sitting on the other side of the table and saying, okay, so I know that this is their history and this is exactly the message that they want to hear. I'm going to frame it like this because this is exactly what they need to hear. Mm-hmm. It's also, exactly the truth of what I'm going to deliver, but I need to deliver that message in XYZ tone, because the tone is everything. Mm-hmm. You can't just read off of a script and expect everybody to get it.
Right.
But when you're selling high ticket, when you're selling high dollar items, when you're selling over the mobile telephone, over the web, in person, something where you have to have a relationship or an interaction, you do have to use that. It's not the technology, but you do have to use that skill set. Now, if you're selling over like a sales letter, or over email, or a chat bot, or whatever we have these days, then the tactics definitely change because it's a numbers game, correct? Mm-hmm. But you can't sell high ticket items, like we like to say high ticket items are $2,000 and above, but really high ticket items are about 20, 30 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand, etc. You can't really sell those kind of items through an email. Like, nobody's going to give you $30,000 if you shoot them an email asking them to buy. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit different tactic when you're talking high ticket, and it's just, it's really, it's a fun and it's an interesting, I don't want to call it a game because it's not a game, but you have to be very intelligent of the way that you approach the other person in the room, whether it's a male and female trying to get in a relationship, or it's a customer in a business trying to have some sort of working relationship. It's all about thinking about the other person, how they're going to perceive it, and the same thing vice versa. If you guys really want to do business together, that's what makes the world turn in sales.
And if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is it's about mutual respect.
Exactly. Mutual respect, but it's got to be, mutual respect. It has to be proactive. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people think about, how are they receiving things? Like, how am I receiving it? How am I receiving it? How am I receiving it? But you also think about, how am I giving it? Like, what sort of emotions am I giving back? Because
And
it's like everything's a back and forth.
absolutely. And when you're in a conversation, but the only person in the conversation is you, meaning one person. So if you're the salesperson and you're trying to sell something, but you're the only one in the conversation because you're thinking about what you want to say, how you want them to answer. And if they don't answer how you want them to answer, then you've got that covered and you're going. You're really not being present and you're not listening to the feedback, to what that other person is saying. There's no mutual respect there. And when there's no mutual respect, that's when both parties don't get their needs met.
And that's the situation that's called either a win-lose or a lose-lose. We only play with win-wins, and we should only play with win-wins. And when people have that perception of, because like we'll go back to the question, because when we think of no means not yet, or no means no, either person in that situation is already making an assumption. Like they're already making an assumption. They're not thinking about the other party. They're not thinking about how they're trying to present it. They're just saying, well, they said no, so I'm going to hit them again. Like, I'm going to give them another sales call. I'm going to give them a video sales letter. I'm going to shoot them something in the mailbox, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. But it's making an assumption without even really diving deeper into the conversation.
And I also think that it depends on how you were taught, right? Because everything that we believe to be true comes from someplace. So if you have mentors or teachers or leaders that are teaching you, okay, this is what you want to do. You want to go after it. If they say this, then you want to be prepared and you want to do this. So if you're being taught that that's the way that sales works, now you've got this preconceived idea before you go in. And if you're not being what's the word that I'm looking for? If you're not being successful in your sales, or you're not selling your business or product, and you're wondering like, well, what's the problem? I'm following the script. I'm doing everything that I was told. It always comes back to the individual. We have to take 100% responsibility for who we are, what we do, the choices we make, and where our beliefs come from. So when we start spiraling down that rabbit hole saying, oh my gosh, I must be really horrible at sales, I'm just going to give up. When really, if you would just stop and take a few minutes and look in the mirror and ask yourself, like, so what am I thinking about this? What's coming up for me? How can I be more courteous, conscious, and in the conversation with the person I'm speaking to?
Exactly. Are you presenting the message correctly, or listening to what your customer is saying? You know, it's funny that you say these things, because so I teach people how to close more high ticket sales. I teach them exactly the skill set that I go through, and I have just like a lot of other people, I have a little 8-week course that's all put together, and it's great. But I see this in business people, and this is what my really big passion is, Nancy, is people are afraid to sell. And there's so many, whether they're entrepreneurs or the small business owners, they have these awesome products that they want to get out to the world. And they're so cool. Like I've been helping a couple of my, like I would like to call them friends, but I guess you would call them business partners, because we're partners in business. But I'm helping them out with their sales because I can see the fire that they have inside of this product. You just don't exactly know how to sell it. So I'm helping them learn how to sell more of their product. But I've always told them, it's like, my goal for you is to teach you how to sell, because you need to do that first. You have to first know how to sell your product. If you're the CEO of the company, people have to understand your message. They have to know what your personality is like, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're the head of the company, you want to be selling as yourself, or like, in your own personality and your own message. So I always ask everybody, like, who do you think is the best person? So, Nancy, like, if you were the CEO, like, you as the CEO of your own company, who is the best person to sell your own product?
Me.
It's always going to be the owner.
Yep, always.
And then I ask everybody, I say, so I also deal with a lot of internet marketers as well. And I say, who do you think is the best to sell your own product? Like, oh, I was the one who created it. Like, I know how to sell this thing. I mean, it's easy. So, okay. Why don't you want to sell it? Well, I don't really enjoy sales or getting on the phone or having a relationship with people. I say, okay, I understand that, because sales is also something that's not natural to everybody. So I get it. But what I tell them is, so do you think that if you just hired a bunch of salespeople to sell for you, it would be better? And I always get the answer, yes. I said, okay, well, let's think about this. So what happens when your salesperson is going to sell your customer and they're going to promise your customer something that you don't even want to deliver?
Mm-hmm.
Or they're going to sell you something on giving you a service that's 2 years rather than just like 2 months, just because they want to make their commission.
Right.
What happens when you hire a bunch of rock star salespeople that are really, really talented and they start running your business?
Yep.
Where they come back to the CEO and they say, you know what, I just sold 500 copies of this thing, but I got to tell you what, you don't have it yet, so you got to create it. It's like your salespeople, they want to get the sale because they want cash in their wallet.
Right.
Totally understandable. You know, you can't blame your salespeople for that because that's exactly what you did. But they're gonna say, hey, I sold $50,000 worth of this product, but you don't have it yet. But I think if you really use it, why don't you just go create this thing? And then you're stuck sitting here like as a CEO trying to think, okay, so do I just want to tell 500 of my true valued customers that I lied to them? Or do I want to spend the next like 5 months creating this product that I really have no passion behind?
Mm-hmm.
And it puts you in a really tough position. So what I tell them is, what I do is, I mean, I almost give away my training. So some of the same training that other people charge like $30,000 to $50,000 for, I practically just give it away because it's something that people really need to learn before they can learn how to hire and train their own sales team. Because when you have your own sales team, you teach them the method that you would use to sell your customers. You know what the customer objections are going to be. If you can know how to learn, if you can know and learn how to sell yourself, then you can translate that into the people that you hire. You can know how to hire and manage them. Again, they can be rock star salespeople. They could be more than comfortable on being on the phone for like the eight straight hours or whatever it may be. And they're like me. They love to talk and chit chat and blah, 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 this and that. But if you show them exactly how to do that, then you're really going to have a rock star sales team. You're going to be in control of your company. People are going to sell the products that you want them to sell, and you're going to have customers that are insanely happy with the service. They're going to be more than like when you get back on the phone with them, whether it's for office hours or if it's customer inquiry or if it's a survey after you deliver the service, they'll say, you know what? I just can't believe it. Like you had a sales guy that hopped on a 60-minute sales phone call with me, and I didn't even feel like I was being pitched. Like it was informative. I was ready to buy the product. I even asked him or her for the sales after it was done. Like dealing with your sales rep was so great because they actually got me more than what I thought I was going to get. Because I actually needed something different. So I actually didn't buy the product that I wanted, but they got me into the one that I really want. I'd spend a little bit more money, but they got me in the correct direction. So your customer is going to be insanely happy. They're going to buy from you again. They're going to tell your friends. This isn't the shortcut. It's not the quick path to success. But if you want a business that's long-term, 10, 20, 30 years, whatever it may be, this is literally the only path that you can take.
Right, because you're creating relationships. There's give and take, and you're honoring the person that you're speaking to. It's reciprocity on both sides.
Exactly. Isn't it interesting, Nancy, that a lot of us have forgotten about this in today's day and age? It's like your good old American greed, right? We want it now, we want it fast, and we want money in our pocket.
Yep. You know, it's interesting too. I was reading something on social media the other day, and somebody was asking a question to, I think it was someone who mostly does their work online. So they're behind the scenes. And the question was so confrontational to him. He said, yikes, dealing with people throws me off my game or something like that. And, you know, so the point about that is it's very, very important to know what your strengths are. And if you feel really uncomfortable in a certain area, then don't accept a job because you think the money is going to be there if that's not who you are inside.
Exactly. And yourself as a CEO, you can always go hire that person as long as you know the right person to hire. You know, hire your CSO or your VP of sales, your negotiation team. They'll deal with that kind of stuff. If you don't want to do it, you can so I'm partnered with one other gentleman, and he is extremely good at technology when it comes to websites and coding and XYZ, all the things that I know that I'm not good at. He's extremely good. But what he told me is he said, Andrew, I don't want to do any of this stuff. So if you could just take care of everything the customer wise, I'll give you a portion of the company and we're going to be good to go. So done deal. Because I don't want to do any of the stuff that you're doing. But it works very well. So as
Right.
long as you know yourself, then it's good. As long as you have somebody out there that's looking for the best interest over your company and the best interest of your customers too, then everything's a win-win down the road.
And it's about knowing who you're aligning yourself with. That's really important as well.
Exactly, exactly.
So, Andrew, what do you suggest to people who are marketing themselves online? Like, I get a lot of pitches on social media. I won't say which one, but people are like, "Oh, thanks for connecting with me. If you need X, Y, and Z, check out my link." Blah blah blah. And personally, I like to write back, "Shouldn't you find out if I need X, Y, Z before you try to pitch me?" Because
Hmm.
that's how I feel. And usually those relationships don't cultivate. But it's the people that really take the time to say, "Hey, I'd like to get to know you." I like you and I did. I mean, you're just a fountain of information, and going on your website, you have so much valuable information that anyone wanting to get some tips and tools would just be so grateful that they were there. So how do you talk about that?
So like you've always got to have some sort of like lead in the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's through social media or it's through a little bit old school, I guess, through the yellow pages or something like that, you can find out a little bit about your customer and try to have an assumption of what they're going to need. Um, whether it's something like sales training or maybe it's like Facebook ads or maybe they need like a painting service for the house or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So you do a little bit of research in the beginning, but the best ways of going about it are just so the best ways of, well, let's start here. So first you want to create a relationship with your customer, whether it's like a short-term relationship, you're going to sell something small over the internet, $60, $90, maybe $500, like not that much. You still want to create a relationship with your customer. So in order to do that, give before you receive. So instead of just saying, "Hey Nancy, I got this great thing, it's the best sales training since sliced bread," yeah, like even Zig Ziglar can't touch this stuff, which isn't, as Zig is the best, but you'll never find another one exactly like this. I know it's the price point exactly that you want. It includes yada da 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 da. Sign up here today, or it goes away in 24 to 48 hours. The reception that you're going to get is really not that much. Maybe that would have worked 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
when the internet was. I mean, we're still pretty young in this internet age, but maybe it would work 5 years ago when people weren't really used to that kind of stuff. But it's all about building a relationship now, which is you got to give before you receive.
Right.
So what I do is I say, "Hey, check out my free 3-part video series training. Get as much information out of that as you can get. You're going to learn how to, not being afraid about getting on the phone, how to charge exactly what you're worth. You're going to learn how to overcome some of the common objections that you're going to get when you're on the phone with a sales prospect. And just, check out that information. If it suits your liking, then you can actually book a free consultation call with me. It ain't going to cost you anything. This is all about you. We're going to figure out a little bit about your business. I'm going to give you a couple of tips, a couple, maybe not tricks, but like my suggestions and what you want to do with your business.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just hop on the phone for 30 minutes, get to know each other a little bit. And then, if you like what you hear, great. We'll continue our relationship. If you don't like what you hear, then we'll just hang up, and then it's okay. Maybe my flavor wasn't exactly for you. But that sort of stuff in today's day and age, like the education, the giving before receiving, that works a heck of a lot better than the other way around. Also, too, if you have so much knowledge in your head, you might as well share it with others.
Right.
Yes, we do need to get paid at the end of the day, but give away 70%, give away 80%. Shoot, give away 90%, just like give it all away. And people will just like naturally want to find out more and more about what you've experienced. So you can't get my experience over the past decade in just 10 minutes. It's not even possible, but as much as I can give you over that 10-minute period of time, I'm more than happy to do so, because like even I know on the back end, as long as I give you the best stuff that I have, it's going to be nice if I can handhold somebody through the process, if I can really dive in like one-on-one into their business and help them grow and scale it. And it's better than just me giving them let's see, so I think my training it's not very long. I think my training is only maybe like 6 hours. So maybe maybe they knock out my training in a whole day, and maybe it takes them 48 hours to do the worksheets afterwards. So 3 days worth of work. You can't figure out 10 years of information in 3 days. It's just not possible. But if they can get the framework, and if they really understand this, okay, well, this Andrew guy or this Jason guy or this Sarah girl, They really understand what they're talking about. Everything here makes sense. Like I could see all the dots connecting. I just need a little bit more help connecting the dots because I don't get this part and this part and this part, but I know I want them to connect. That's when you get the sale, because that's when you can actually go in and say, okay, that's really cool. Like, tell me exactly what's going on. I know what the solution is. Let me tell you how to link the two together.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. Plus what you're doing is you're giving them the opportunity to get to know who you are. You know, you talked about that earlier in, you know, the date, when we talked about the date, you know, knowing who this person is that's asking you out. Okay. So that's exactly what you're doing in sales is you're getting to know this person. Do I feel comfortable with that person? You know, how do I feel energetically? Pay attention to how you feel. And if this person makes you feel like, gosh, they are really giving away a fountain of information. Imagine what I could learn from this person if I choose to work with this person. And that's how you know you just follow your gut.
And you know what the cool thing about that too is, Nancy, is it always works both ways. It works for the customer because the customer is saying, hey, this message really resonates with me. And like my message is never a very harsh message. It's not you got to close the sale right now. Do whatever it takes. Don't let them walk out the door. But on that same token, there's a large amount of people that are out there that don't want to hear my message. They want to hear that this is how you shut the door on the customer and you don't let them out of the room until they give you their credit card number. And you know what? If I repel those people, it's perfect for me because those aren't the type of people that I really want to teach anyways. Right. And the same thing on the other token. If they can see that from me in the beginning, they say, oh man, you know, this Andrew guy is just a little bit too soft-spoken. Like, you know, he doesn't use profound language. You know, he doesn't curse at all. Like, how can he make a sale if you're not being that aggressive? You know, it's good for them too, because if they see that in the beginning, then they won't dive into my world, and then they won't be unappreciative of the knowledge that I give them and say, oh yeah, you know, I just paid this guy multiple thousands of dollars and this is what he's going to teach me, because it's actually not good for the other person either. Mm-hmm. So it's good on both ends, even if you repel each other.
Well, and also what I hear you saying is it's so important to know the value of you. Who are you? You know, we have to know who we are, where we're coming from. We have to know our value and our purpose. And when we are strong in who we are, when we're strong in our message and we have belief in ourselves, we are going to speak from our truth. We're going to speak from our strength. And if you cannot do that, then it behooves you to find out what your strengths are, what your purpose is, and why it is that you are not believing in yourself. Because once that's solid, everything else will fall together.
Yeah, and I got a piece of advice to everybody out there that's watching these things. Sorry, I didn't mean to say like these things, but whether that's listening to a podcast, watching a YouTube channel, reading a book, anything that's published, is if you're the person out there that is trying to, you know, struggling to figure out exactly what their strong suit is, or really doesn't understand their message, even if you're not comfortable with it, get on the phone with people. Just talk with people. Just like I'm talking here with Nancy. Just don't do it once. Don't do it twice. Keep doing it week after week after week after week after week. You do this in the very beginning of your business, or you know, if you're struggling, just keep doing it. You're gonna find out exactly the message that comes out of your mouth each and every time. It may be different at first, but you'll figure out and say, oh, you know what? I guess I'm really passionate about this. And you know what else? The market really resonates to this message because people understand what I talk about. You know, they're commenting on my videos. They say, oh, that's a great thing. Or maybe they say, hey, you shouldn't even talk about it like that. And they say, oh, you know, maybe that's actually the wrong message, or I'm targeting the wrong audience. So this is what we call like testing the market. Right. So you want to be able to do these things so you can really understand who you are, who your message is. Not only do you understand yourself, which is step number one, but step number two is you got to understand who the people are that you resonate with. So, you know, who's your target audience? Are you preaching to the wrong crowd? Are you talking to the exact right people who have something to say and really want to hear your next message? They're going to be eager to buy.
Absolutely.
It's not a hard sell. It's definitely, I mean, I guess if there was I guess you could call it a soft sell, but it's definitely not anything like a close the door, you got to give me your credit card right now type deal.
And what I hear you saying as well is, you know, when you get to know yourself, It's about, there are no such thing as get rich quick schemes. You can't just jump in and say, oh, wow, these widgets sell for $50,000. I'm going to go sell two and make 100,000 in a day.
Yep.
You have to know yourself and what you're projecting and what you're putting out there.
Yeah. So the get rich quick schemes or scams. I do believe there's some out there that truly do work, and I'm sure they do. But again, for the guys and gals that are out there, this stuff is short-term stuff, and if you're in it for a year or two, then maybe just do that for a year or two, but don't expect it to last forever.
Yeah. Great advice. Great advice. Andrew, thank you so much. Before we go, can you tell everyone how to get a hold of you, how to find you, and so that they can follow up with you?
Oh, thanks so much. So the two social platforms that I live on are Facebook and LinkedIn. Throw me a connection request or a direct message, and it's just at Andrew Izumi. And that 3-part video series that I was talking about, if you want to get to know me a little bit more without actually, before actually getting on the phone, you can go to highticketmomentum.com. Check out the free training. You get to see, you get to watch all the value, and if it resonates with you, go ahead and book a call with me. I'd love to talk to you.
It's great. I can highly recommend it. I mean, I know when I was researching you and I went on and looked at it, and I really felt your message, and that was really important to me. So thank you for what you do.
Oh, that is fantastic, Nancy. Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Andrew, I really, really appreciate you being here with me today and, answering that question that I think, burns a hole in so many people about sales, and just getting over that belief that sales has to be uncomfortable, because it doesn't.
It doesn't. Yep.
Mm-mm.
I love the question. This was a fantastic talk. I really enjoyed it, and I had a ton of fun.
Great. I'm so glad you were here. And for all of you listening, remember, life is all about choices. So I hope that you will share this, subscribe to our channel. We've got a lot more coming out for you. And Andrew is just a fountain of information. So please go check out his work and find out what he's doing if this resonates with you. In the meantime, this is Nancy Muller saying ciao for now.